Hey. Here we go. We're doing a podcast. Lisa Rinna and Harry Hamlin.
It's like
welcome.
You put on your radio voice.
Here we are in the
God.
studio doing a podcast. So welcome to Let's Not Talk About the Husband. And why is it called Let's Not Talk About the Husband, Lisa?
Because I think it's clever and catchy.
But why those words specifically?
Well, because they are iconic in the sense of what they mean in the Amsterdam episode of Housewives.
Well, this is what I'm getting at. Let's have some context. So you're doing Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It's one of your first episodes, right?
No, it's one of my last episodes of the first season.
One of the first season, one of the last episodes.
Yeah, the first trip
you
on the
guys
first
traveled
season.
to
My first season, season 5.
Season 5.
Yeah.
So you went to Amsterdam,
Yeah.
and you arrived in Amsterdam. What happened?
Well, it was the culmination of some high-intensity relationship issues with Brandy Glanville, Kim Richards, Yolanda Hadid, Lisa Vanderpump, Kyle Richards, Eileen Davidson, and myself.
Okay, those are the people in the cast. But what happened?
I can tell you.
Okay.
Exactly. So we fly to Amsterdam, and there was weirdness on the plane. We're on a private jet somewhere. I want to think we were, but we weren't. Anyway, we were flying, and I was getting some cold shoulder vibes from Kim Richards. And, you're flying all day, and you're all together. And so I could tell that there was something brewing. And so anyway, we get to Amsterdam, and, we're tired. We're jet lagged. And I think we have an hour to get ready. So we get ready and we meet down the lobby and we go to our first dinner. And I think it was our first dinner. And we get to the restaurant. We ride in a Sprinter van because everybody rides in a Sprinter van on Housewives. And we get to the dinner and we sit down. And 5 minutes into the dinner, we hadn't ordered drinks. We had not ordered dinner. That moment happened.
But what happened? I mean, okay, so it's iconic. What did she say that caused this whole thing to come down?
You don't remember?
I'm asking you.
Oh, okay. Well, let me tell you. So she started to insinuate that there was some big, dark secret that you had and you were keeping, and we were keeping it from the show, and we were keeping it from everyone, that you had done something. She is insinuating that you had done something horrible, like horrible.
So what did Harry do?
Exactly.
So that we actually ended up making a hashtag about that. Hashtag what did Harry do?
That's right. Let's not talk about the husband, and let's not talk about what you don't want out there.
So that's what went
That's
down.
what she said.
Let's not talk about the husband, like insinuating that I had gone out and
and
fucked everybody in sight.
Really, right? Fucked everything. Fucked a man, a woman, a dog. We don't know, but that's...
A dog?
Remember, we thought...
Maybe people thought I was having it off with Lola?
People have thought you've been having it off with everything and everyone since I've been a housewife. You know what it is? It's like when people were like Team Rinna, everyone's really nice. Oh, we love your family so much. Oh my God, we love everything about you. When they're not. And when I became the villain, all of a sudden you're fucking everything from, you're gay, I'm your beard.
That's true. I've got
I'm your beard.
A bunch of people up at our cabin in Canada where I'm having it off with, what's her name? Patricia, right?
Patricia. Yes, you're having an affair with Patricia in Canada.
And who was the actress that used to be married to Bruce Springsteen?
Julianne Phillips.
Julianne Phillips. I was having it off with her, right?
Oh, yes. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all these people that I was supposedly having it off with, but it sounds like fun, but I didn't have any.
I know. Too bad.
Oh, well.
Anyway,
So you were in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
So
I went across the table and I about strangled her. And in my mind, when I was across the table, because it happened so quickly, I said to myself, you will go to jail in Amsterdam. Do not touch her. That's what my mind said. So I pull back, and that's when I'm filled with, energy and anger. I take the wine glass and smash it.
So it was rage, essentially, you had at that moment.
Yes.
And you actually broke a wine glass. I've seen that, and it's like hard to believe that little Lisa Rinna from Medford, Oregon, like did such a bold thing at that moment. But you did, and it was in defense of me, I presume.
Yeah, I was standing up for you. But here's the thing: I believe that throughout the season, as I was doing my interviews, they knew from my questions that they asked me and how I responded that you were a hot button topic and the girls were a hot button topic. So if you wanted to get me, you push those buttons. And that's what those producers are so fucking good with. They're evil geniuses, and they can get in there and figure out, okay, this is what you need to do, Kim. You need to go and say this to Rinna and she will fucking lose it. And guess what? That's what happened.
They knew how to push your button.
They pushed my button so easily. I was jet lagged. I can't even, there's no excuse. I was jet lagged. I was mad. I was irate and rageful, and I almost fucking strangled her.
So hence the title of this podcast, which is Let's Not Talk About the Husband, uttered by Kim Richards in a moment of rage in Amsterdam, and has evolved over years into this. So everybody out there, thank you, Kim Richards, for giving us the title to our podcast.
She's probably going to want money. I think you better be careful. She might come after us for money.
I have a lot of people on that show to thank for various things. I can thank Garcelle Bouvet for giving me this sauce business that I now have. Because had she not loved the sauce and then made a whole thing about something about
I made a whole thing about her not sending a thank you text. That's how it all began.
Yeah.
She loved your sauce, by the way. Loved it and loves it.
What's not to love?
She loved it. And we took it to her. Remember, it was COVID. Kathy Hilton got COVID that day right after the lunch.
That's right. Well, they said, we're going to throw a lunch at your house for the cast. And normally what the husbands do is they would hire a caterer.
No, the husbands don't do that. We do that.
Whoever would hire a caterer.
Everybody hires someone.
I was supposed to be throwing this lunch.
You turned out to be throwing it because you are too cheap to spend the money on a caterer.
Wait a minute. I didn't have to throw that lunch? I could have said no?
Well, you could have said no, and we would have had to pay for someone to come and...
So the reason that I cooked the lunch is
You did it, so we didn't have to pay for it.
Well, that's true, because normally what people would do is they would spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a caterer and have some fancy food that nobody wanted to eat.
Kyle Richards spends so much money a year on those parties. She spends the money herself. She and Maurizio, through all those big parties, spent $100,000 on a party.
Well, I'm not.
And we're too cheap to do
go
that.
there. And so they asked that was lunch. So I said, okay, well, listen, I'm going to cook my spaghetti bolognese because it takes a few minutes to cook it, and I'll prepare the luncheon. I set the table. I set everything up, mainly just because I'm so cheap.
It's true.
And I had no idea that people were going to like it as much as they did, but they loved it.
They loved it.
It became a thing. So I only. The greatest gratitude for that moment.
Have you sent her flowers? Maybe you should send her flowers at some point.
At some point, depending upon how successful the business is. Yeah, if we hit it rich, I'll send her some flowers for sure.
That was quite an iconic lunch, actually. Now that we're talking about it, that was the lunch where Sutton said to Crystal something about the ugly leather pants. That was there. And by the way, Hunky Dory happened that day too.
What does that mean?
When Kathy says, "Who's Hunky Dory?" happened right there. Like, that was an iconic lunch.
Huh. Who knew? Anyway, but it seems to be still alive somehow. That lunch has created a whole business.
Now you have Harry's Famous Sauce.
I have the Open Food Company, which came out of that moment. Wow, it's amazing how things happen.
Isn't it?
So how do you
feel? And we
feel?
have a podcast that's pretty much come out of that.
All of this has come out of that moment. It's amazing. So you left Housewives, but
I did.
We don't really talk about it that much about the whole Housewives thing.
I talked to you about it for 8 years. I literally tortured you for 8 years about it.
It wasn't exactly torture, but you closed the door on it, and we haven't really talked about, since then, how you feel about the show still being out there, not being on it, what your life is like. We just kind of compartmentalize that moment of our life.
Yes.
So tell me, how do you feel?
Oh my God, you're like an interviewer now. You're like a husband
We're doing a
slash
podcast.
interviewer.
We're sitting here. I'm sitting in a chair. You're in another
It's so
chair.
weird.
You've got
It's
a mic.
so fucking weird, isn't it?
Well, but I look. I mean, let's
fucking
open
weird.
up the convo. Tell me.
I just got nervous. Well, I feel great about it. I have a lot of mixed feelings. I mean, it's been 2 years. Yeah, it's been 2 years. So,
yeah, but look at what's happened in those 2 years. You've become
know.
a fashionista icon person with covers of magazines and walking in shows
Oh my
and
God,
stuff
it's been
like
so
that. I
fun.
mean, how did that happen?
I don't know how that happened. I really don't. I mean, I left the show January of 2022. That's almost 3 years.
The end of the pandemic, essentially.
Yeah. And then right after, I got the call to go to Paris to sit at the Kenzo show. And that's how it began. And then, you know, Erica Jane was there also. They had asked Erica Jane to go. So we were both at the Kenzo show. And I decided to stay in Paris because we got another call. Somebody had seen us at the Kenzo show. And we got a call saying, do you want to go to the Ashi studio show? And we'll pay for your hotel. We'll keep you here. And I was like, yes. And then I remember Erica went home. So I just said, I think my saying yes to the universe has been very handy for me since I left Housewives. Because, you know, you never know what's going to happen when you leave Housewives, if you're ever going to work again.
You never set out, you didn't really want to become a fashionista. You never set out to walk in shows and be on the covers of magazines. It just happened.
It just happened. But you know that I have a love for fashion.
This I know. Yeah.
Right? So
who bought you your first really great dress?
you did.
Okay. Did I create a monster?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
It's your fault for sure.
It's definitely
Because
my fault.
You bought me at Madeleine Gallet in West Hollywood. If any of you guys are old enough to remember Madeleine Gallet, I know that Nicole Kidman is, because Nicole Kidman just talked about buying a dress at Madeleine Gallet. So she's shopped there. Anyway, that's going back 30 years. And so you bought me the Alaya dress that is so iconic. And lace Alaya, and you know who also has that dress, who's now a housewife, is Jennifer Tilly. Jennifer Tilly has that same dress.
The exact same dress?
Exact
The one
same
I got
dress. Yeah.
Huh.
There were, you know, they made a few of them. I remember it was $3,000, that dress. And that back 32
What was I thinking?
years ago was like a lot of money. And you're so fucking cheap. You probably were really trying to get
You a
me.
$3,000 dress?
Yeah, you did.
Oh.
And you also bought me that original Hervé Leger with the diamond straps. Those two dresses, that was even worth more.
Was that when you hosted the Soap Digest Awards and you also won for Best Actress that year?
Well, thank you for that, but no, I didn't. I don't think I won for Best Actress. Actress, I won for Best Couple. I think
well,
with
who's counting?
Robert
so what?
Kelker Kelly.
You
I don't
won
know.
an award.
I did. I won. It was my first award.
So, I just
Yes.
can't believe that I bought these dresses for you. I mean, what was I thinking?
Well, you must have wanted to nail it down. It's like, you know, you're trying to nail me down.
I nailed you down.
You did.
It succeeded.
It worked.
And I still nail you down from time to time, you know, but after 30 some odd years, you know,
Yeah. It worked.
I don't nail as often as I used to, but then again,
I mean,
enough,
it's
right?
okay.
It's
yeah,
enough,
it's
right?
enough. I mean,
It's definitely enough. I mean, I do remember we had friends back in the day when we first got together who we thought that they were the best couple. I mean, absolutely, they were rolling in the hay all
by
the time.
the way, you were jealous. I don't know if you're jealous of them, but you guys were envious of them with your other wife. You and your other wife were envious of their relationship. I remember that. I don't think we were as much. Other wife of yours.
Which one? Which wife are you talking about?
I'm not going to say names anymore. I'm just not, because I've learned my lesson on Housewives. But one of your other wives, you and your other wife your other wife was envious, I think.
Well, yeah,
anyway, are they still together?
There was a lot of envy going around about that particular couple, who seemed to be like the best couple in the world in terms of their love making, their house, their home, their children, whatever. I mean, you name it. And now, horribly divorced. I mean, just no, just a very, very bad horror story about that. So
Yeah.
thank God that, whatever we were doing was the right thing, because we're still together. It's been 30 some, how long has it been?
32 years. And by the way,
It's been more than that, hasn't it?
no, it's been 30.
1992?
Kind
1992.
of 1993, really. So what is that?
31 years. Anyway, so.
Anyway, also, only housewife still married.
That's right. They're called housewives, but none of them are wives anymore.
I mean, on my show, they're all single. That's just the truth.
Well, I do remember when you came to me. I'll never forget exactly where I was sitting on
the bed,
and you walked in from the bathroom and you said, "I think I'm going to do Real Housewives."
I didn't say I think I'm going to do it. I said, "What do you think about this?" And you said,
Well, I said I have my divorce lawyer on speed dial, and if you do that, I'll divorce you.
and I said, "Okay, fine, I won't do it." And I walked away.
Yeah, and you walked away.
I walked away.
And then I found out that it was actually a great branding opportunity.
Yeah.
I talked to someone whose name will not be mentioned, but yeah, and we found out that it was a good branding opportunity.
Who
and
actually takes credit for me getting that job,
That's
by the
true.
way. She takes credit for my being born, I think.
Yeah.
I think she took credit for my gestation in the womb.
But in any case, yeah, you did end up doing it, and actually, I'm very grateful that you ended up.
I was
going
to say, how do you feel about me doing the show and then my leaving the show?
Well, I think, little Lisa Rinna from Medford, Oregon, always wanted to make a mark in Hollywood.
And be really, really famous.
And be,
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't going to say that.
You
but
can.
Yeah, you really wanted to be
honey,
really,
we're
really
here to be
famous.
honest. And I just wanted to be really, really famous.
But they're totally opposite for me. I've never wanted to be famous. I'll do
know.
everything I can to not be famous. And yes, you succeeded. You're now
But that's
really,
all
really
it
famous.
did. That's all it did.
Well,
Really.
I mean, we walk down the Champs-Élysées in Paris, and all I hear is Lisa Rinna, yeah. So even in Paris.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, I'm actually very grateful that you did it, because I think it satisfied a need in you that you had since you were a child, and your mother used to read all the magazines about Hollywood and talk about all the movie stars and stuff like that.
She knew who everyone was married to. She knew everything.
As do you.
As do I.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know anything about pop culture and nothing about social media, but if I need to know something, all I have to do is ask you. You're a font of information.
I know it all. And whether I want to know it or not, it's in my DNA. I can't help it.
And why do you suppose that is?
It's my mom. My mom literally, like, it's in my DNA. That was my mom. That was Lois. And I just...
Did she want to be a star? She wanted to be an actor
she
as
wanted
well?
to be an actress, and she wasn't able... She would say she was too scared to really go and do it, and she didn't do it. So I think I had come in to fulfill part of that need.
Somehow, from a tiny town, Medford, Oregon, you managed to extract yourself from that situation, and here you are.
And I met you somehow at the eyeglass store, which we'll get into. We'll get into that on the next episode of our show.
Okay, yeah.
What else about Housewives?
Well, the girls. Did you make any friends? I mean, we talked a lot to these people while you were on the show, but we don't talk to them anymore. So, tell me how you can spend 8 years with the same people.
We do a little bit. I mean, I do. It's a volatile situation, that show, with friendship.
Yeah.
And, what's interesting about it is the girls that I still, am in contact with, Erica, Dorit, Kyle, I didn't know them before the show. The girls that I knew before the show, I'm no longer friends with. The ones
and another thing that's kind of unique about your being on the show is that you never watched it beforehand.
No, I did not.
And we never watched the show. I have never seen any of the other Housewives shows and never saw this one before you did it, and haven't seen it since.
Why would you?
A lot of the people who go on that show have watched it continuously and tried to figure out how to sort of quote unquote win it. If there's such a thing as winning the Housewives show, it's not really a competition show. But I think that a lot of people watch that show and want to get on it. They get on the show and they think they can somehow like succeed.
Well, they're fans of it, you know, and they come on with an idea of how they want to be, you know, seen and how they want to portray themselves. And
yeah, but that sounds very premeditated. I mean, you
Well, it
went on
is.
the show having never seen it, didn't know what you were getting into.
And I was
not unlike today, which we've never talked about this podcast and how we were going to do it.
Well,
we're just sitting here for the first time doing it.
Yeah, but I think that's what you have to do. That's authenticity. You cannot go in, like when you're acting, you do your work and then you throw it out the window when you're in a scene with somebody. You have to be in the moment with the person, correct?
That's true. You got to dump it. You can't
You got to
keep
dump
that
it.
stuff
But
in your
you
head.
do all your preparation. You can't do preparation for a show like that.
But a lot of people think they can, and
Well-
they, you know, and I don't know. I mean, some of them seem to have succeeded in getting headlines anyway.
Well, they're good. They're going to be okay for a while. And then, you know, shows like that, you have your moment and then the audience is going to rip you to shreds. And they're going down that road now.
Yeah, the trolls. I mean, it's incredible the number of trolls that are created by that show.
I
by
know.
Just you know, I mean, we had a huge business on QVC destroyed by trolls.
Well,
you
it
know?
wasn't really destroyed by trolls, but they came after us and we
Well,
had to, like,
I
you know,
think that
make
the-
some phone calls and shit.
But the
Remember?
corporate people at QVC
Well, they
had
got
never
scared.
seen anything like that.
They got scared.
They had never seen anything
Yeah.
like the amount of negativity that they got from the trolls who were coming
know.
after you at QVC.
But remember, there was someone in charge of those trolls and we had to address it. And we did. And then
Well, that there was somebody on the show who had an army of trolls that they unleashed on
That is
you,
correct.
I guess. Yeah.
Well, that has become more and more attainable now. And that's probably the biggest reason why I'm no longer there, I would say.
because of the trolls.
Yeah, because of the fan base and where it went.
Yeah, they
It's
turned
just,
on you.
It's
And-
not worth it.
Well, I mean,
That's
that's
why
what's
I left.
happening in the media today. I mean, you look at social media and the effect that it's having globally with misinformation and all of that, and how you can basically inspire a whole group of people
That's-
to become enraged
That's
over
right.
basically nothing.
Well, offended. What did Andy Cohen say? People are desperate to be offended.
Right.
And
What do
he
I
said
call
that
it?
a long time ago to
I
me.
say that there is a great underground aquifer of indignation
Ooh.
that's just waiting to come to
Jesus,
the
that is
surface.
a fairly big term. Say that again.
An underground aquifer of indignation that's sort of below the surface, a
Yeah.
little bit like the water table below the surface. And you find a place to, you can poke a hole and there's so much pressure out there to get that indignation out, that out it comes and then it turns into rage and then people get killed.
Well, you know, I had quite a lot of death threats, if you remember that last season. It just got to be too much. And, you know, because I had lost my mom and I was in a great stage of grief and it was just too much. It was too fucking much. I couldn't do it. It's like life's too short.
Yeah, it was a very hard moment. I remember I spent a lot of time trying to bring you down and make you feel better about what was going on. And I'm not sure I was successful.
Well, you were. I mean, there was not much anyone could do. You were really helpful. Erica Jane was really helpful. My therapist was really helpful. But, you know, everyone else, it was brutal.
At the end of the day, you had to go.
I had to go.
And I get it.
And I did. You know, I almost resigned on the reunion. I wish I would have, now that I look back on it.
Didn't you do it shortly after that?
I did
mean,
it
that
the
night or
minute I got
something?
home that night.
That
But
night,
I
right.
was going to do it on camera. And I wish I had done that. That's the only thing I would do differently. I wish I had just said it right there. Like, you know what, guys? This has been a great run for 8 years. I'm going to go now. I wish I'd been brave enough to do it, but then you're not. You're like, oh my God, you know, what if I changed my mind, or, you know, whatever was going through my head. But I did it right when I got home. I think the timestamp on that email is like 12 something.
I remember you came home after a long, grueling day at the reunion, and yeah, you were fit to be tied.
Well, it was, listen, when you do something like that for 8 years and it's just all bad. There was nothing good about it at that point. I didn't see the reason to continue. My contract was up, and it was time. Like, if I was going to go, I had to go then.
Well, then the timing was right? Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And I would never go back, in case you're asking.
I have not asked, but I've noticed that a lot of people in that universe have been kind of reaching out to you for here and there, and my opinion, they're trying to see if they can soften you up to get you to come back.
Well, maybe.
But,
I don't know. But no, I look at that as a chapter that served its purpose well. I don't think I could have done anything more as a housewife. What else could I have done?
Are you kidding me? You were the GOAT. I mean, there was nobody. You were still considered like the most iconic of, at least on the West Coast, for the West Coast housewives.
I don't know about that, but I mean, I'm pretty good. I'm up there as a housewife. I think I did my job. I went in and I did exactly what you need to do as a housewife.
You always said, this is my job, and I got to go in and just do my job. And your job was to be there, be present, and also
be prickly.
to be prickly.
You
have
used to
be.
say that.
In those shows, for those kind of shows, if you're not prickly, you don't have relevance on those shows. So you were intentionally prickly sometimes, but always with a reason. There was always a raison d'etre for your prickliness.
Well, I think, personally, what I think made me a good candidate for a housewife is I don't like injustice. That's a real button for me, injustice.
And those shows are all about injustice.
Yeah, so they got really lucky. Yeah. It's so easy to push my buttons. It was so, I was so easy to make react. It's ridiculous. You look back on it.
The funny thing is that I know you in such a different way.
I know.
I know you as little Lisa Rinna from Medford, Oregon. I mean, there's nothing prickly about you at all.
Isn't it so weird?
It is weird. You're this sweet, very innocent creature. And that people who saw you on that show.
Oh, Harry, you're so dumb. You have no idea who you're married to. She's a psychopath. She's a murderess.
They do. I mean, people think that, you've got this streak about you that's like really vengeful and horrible, but you don't have that. I mean, you're the sweetest, most nice, kindest person I have ever known, which is why I married you.
Oh my God.
And yet you're considered this villainous out there.
So let me ask you, why do you think putting me in that, rat's nest of women made me react like that? Because as you say, I'm not like that as you know me in our life. Why do you think I reacted like that?
I think that you found yourself in a situation where you had no choice but to defend yourself and to stand up for yourself. And when you do that, you're considered to be prickly.
And maybe stand up for others and maybe call out things that aren't being said. And I took that role on for whatever reason, and I don't necessarily take that role on in my life.
So what possessed you to say, were you doing coke in the bathroom? I mean, and that's an iconic line too, but I mean, where did that come from? I mean, you saw some white powder on somebody's nose. What happened there?
I can neither confirm nor deny. Okay. But yes, the person sitting across from me had
something. Who knows what
coke
it was,
on his
right?
nose, but I'm not going to say who. Who? Anyway. Wow. Our podcast is number 1. We're done. We don't have to do any more. We're done.
It's from your lips to God's ear.
Number 1.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's, he had coke on his nose.
So wait a minute. It's getting back to this the whole thing. How did that show transform my innocent life into this diva? At least considered to be diva by the audience.
No, villain. I don't even think diva. I think villain.
So, but you're not.
Okay. Well, here are a couple things. So let's talk about what happened with my friends who I was somewhat friends with, like acquaintance friends, not super, super close friends, but friends nonetheless. How'd that happen where we have absolutely no relationship anymore? It ruined our friendship.
Who's that?
Well, one starts with an S, one starts with a G, one starts with a D. 3 of them. Yeah.
Okay.
And so how'd that happen? Because I called out their bullshit? I don't know. Because I saw them for who they really are? I don't know.
I guess in that show you're supposed to call out bullshit, right? I mean if you don't call out the bullshit on that show, then you're not really participating in the show.
Well, I don't know. That's my sense was, listen, even if you're my friend, if I think you're doing something that is wrong and shady, and I know that you're doing it to somehow catch me or catch us, I didn't like that.
Well, this goes back to the loyalty question that we talked about a lot, because, people insist on you being loyal. You're my friend. You should be loyal.
That's
no
right.
matter, no matter
That's
what I say,
right.
no matter
That's
what I do,
right.
we're friends. You should be loyal to me. So, yeah, I mean, this is an interesting question,
It
this
certainly
loyalty
is.
thing, because I think a lot of people, when you call them out, when you say,
Bullshit.
but wait a minute, your behavior is not correct here, they say, well, you shouldn't be calling me out. We're friends. You should be loyal to me.
Exactly. And that's exactly what happened with, there's another one, L, V, D, G, and S. All of them. Same thing happened. Mm-hmm. I could not stand by people that did things that I did not think were right.
Yeah, and I get that. I mean, I believe that one's behavior, not what people say, but what they do, determines who they are,
Right.
and what their character
I know
is.
it's much easier for them to go, oh no, Rinna, she was so shitty and she did me dirty. Well, yeah, but why did I do you dirty and why was I shitty? Have you ever asked yourself that question? No.
And they never will.
And they never will. So bye-bye.
yeah.
Anyway, listen, we lost a few friends. Que sera, sera. I got better ones now anyway.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Very few.
Very few, I know.
But still, you're my friend.
I am your friend.
Yeah. I mean,
am your friend.
we spent all of our time together. I mean, yeah. And so far, haven't gotten sick of each other. It's been 30
Isn't that
some odd
crazy?
years.
I know
It's
people
nuts.
are going to want to know all about that. Like, I think they're going to get a little hit of how we're very different. We're very opposite. We have nothing in common, but it seems to
We have nothing in common.
Nothing.
No, it's true.
You're cute. I'm cute. So maybe we have that in common.
Speaking for yourself, yeah, yes, you are cute.
Like what? What do we have in common? From your point of view, what do we have in common?
We like water. We both like water.
No, we both need water.
Well,
So-
okay. I don't know. What else do we have in common? I have no relationship to fashion whatsoever. I wear the same thing every day.
That's
I don't.
true.
I don't change
You're
my
cute
clothes.
though. You have a good style.
It's
Like
a
if you
non-style.
didn't have a good style, I would have a problem with it. I would have to like fix you up, and I don't have to. So, whatever.
Well, you have to cut
You
my
could
eyebrows
get a new
all the
pair of
time.
shoes, though. I think you could get a new pair of tennis shoes.
I could probably use some new stuff, but
Yeah.
but you take you're like, it's a little bit
I
like
trim you up.
yeah, you trim me up.
Yeah.
Without you, I would have my eyebrows would be down to my feet.
I know they'd be above your hair. But what do we have in common? We like to travel.
Yeah, but you like to travel fancy. I like to travel rustic. So I mean, it's
true.
like
Not
your
really.
idea of camping is any floor below the 10th floor in the Four Seasons, and I like the wilderness. I
Yeah.
like going out and taking a dump in the woods.
Oh,
So-
Harry, that's just
Well, but that's part of camping.
it's
you can't
gross.
Go, you
That's
can't-
exactly why I don't do it.
Really?
Right there. Yeah.
Well, you'd get used to it. But
No, I
what
would
would
not.
happen if all of a sudden civilization collapsed and we had to fend for ourselves in the woods? How would you deal with that? Where's my lip gloss? Oh my God!
I would not be happy.
You would not be happy.
No.
Without your lip gloss, you'd be dead.
I would be. Would rip my lips off. It's true.
But that stuff is so addictive.
I
Don't you know that?
That's why I have to have it on at all
they
times.
put special chemicals into the lip gloss that
I
make
know.
your lips dry out so
I
that
know.
you have to keep using it.
Well, listen, I don't have many, what do you call it, addictions and issues.
You are addicted to lip gloss.
But I am addicted to lip gloss. It's true.
There you go.
That's the one thing without something on my lips. But my mom was the same way. And she would pick her lips or chew them. And so that's what happens to me. And there you go.
Yeah, but the problem is that when I kiss your lips, I get stuck to them.
I know.
I mean, how often do I kiss your lips these days?
Not very often because I got my lip gloss on.
I get stuck to your lips. I mean, I'll go kiss you. Yeah, so
It's all right.
we
you're
make
okay.
do, even though
Yeah.
you wear the lip gloss all the time.
But
That's
anyway, what else? I don't know. We don't have much in common.
true. We love our kids.
We do love our kids,
So-
and we turned out some good children.
We did.
No matter how fucked up we are, we turned out some girls that were not fucked up. I mean, they're fucked up in their own way because they're everyone's fucked
Everybody's fucked up.
But
in
you know
one
what I
degree,
mean?
yeah.
It's like, how do we do that? Oh, I'm supposed to be the microphone. Oh, right. I forget. I got comfortable for a second.
Yeah,
I'm learning.
Okay.
I never did. I don't do podcasts. Remember, I said no on Housewives to podcasts because I'd get myself in so much trouble. Every time I do a podcast, I would
And now this is nothing but trouble. Now we're doing our own podcast,
yeah.
which means it's going to be trouble every week.
I'm going to be a headline. It'll be a headline every fucking day, by the way. And you need to know that. Do
you think I don't know that? I've been with you for 30 years.
We're going to be clickbait central, constantly.
Okay.
But at least we signed on to be clickbait
Well,
constantly.
that just gave me a little pit in the pit of my stomach, a little something.
Just true, because that's why I wouldn't do podcasts, because I became, oh my God, it was just awful. So I've only done you've probably done more podcasts than I have, to be honest. I have said, you know what? Now when we want to have guests on the show, everyone's going to tell me to fuck off because I have said no to their podcasts 45 times. The only one that can't say no to me is Teddy Mellencamp because I went on that 2 peas in a pod and did that for her. And so she can't say no.
So is the podcast world is a gigantic quid pro quo? Like
Yeah.
if you don't do mine, I won't do yours
Probably.
kind of thing?
Probably.
Really?
I said no to everybody. Everybody. So
So
everyone's going to probably say no.
You have some work to do, girl. I mean, if you want to get some guests on this show, you're going to have to
People are going
ingratiate
to be
yourself.
like, fuck you. You said no to me. I'm not coming on your podcast.
So, yeah, our florist bill is going to be big because you're going to have to start sending some flowers out. Oh.
Yeah. I don't know. They'll probably just say, why you didn't do mine. I'm not doing yours, but Teddy will do it because I did hers. So she has to do it.
Okay, well, it'll be an interesting ride, that's for sure.
Who do you want as a guest? Like if we were going to have a guest, who would you want?
Well, like my guest, I mean, I'd like to have, Bill Nye the Science Guy would be my perfect guest, and he's got a podcast too.
Have you done his podcast?
I have not done his podcast.
I did a podcast recently that I'm really excited. What was it called? Something about asshole for
What?
Grindr.
Oh,
Yes.
well, that sounds appropriate for Grindr.
It was so much fun.
Really?
I had the time of my life, and everyone was nervous that it would go down some really horribly raunchy. It didn't.
The red rabbit hole doesn't really apply.
No, everyone was nervous that I would really fuck myself, and I had so much fun. You know how much I love Drag Race. It's one of the drag queens.
So this
from
is
Drag
another
Race.
thing, the opposite thing. Okay, so you are addicted to Drag Race.
I love Drag Race.
And I'm addicted to Alone.
Yeah.
Which is about people trying to survive in the wilderness. That's my idea of heaven. Your idea of heaven is like
Drag Race.
guys dressing up as women and running around with big
in drag
hairdos. Yeah.
and performing. And yeah.
Okay, so there you have it. That's right there in a nutshell. That's it.
Yeah.
Our opposites attract thing. So are we going to do a spinning a wheel thing here? What are we going to do?
Yeah, we're going to play games. I like the idea of a couple things. I like the idea of playing games, and I like the idea of answering questions. Like we'll have people call in with maybe, relationship questions or life questions, or I like those two ideas. Are you game for that?
Of course I'm game for that. I mean, look, we could sit here and talk between the two of us all the time forever.
I'm already tired, though, aren't you? This is exhausting to me to talk this long.
With your husband? I know. We rarely talk this long together,
There's
I'll say,
something
hey,
going on in the house.
What do you want to watch? That's basically our extent of our relationship.
Wait. We have to talk about last night. This is funny. So you are rehearsing a scene with your acting partner on Zoom, right? In the office.
That's right.
So I go upstairs and I go, I'm going to watch something, that I'm going to start by myself and watch. And in my mind, I'm thinking, this is going to just be my show to watch. I'm going to watch this and it's just going to be mine, right? Okay. Because we have to watch everything together, which is lovely, but I
don't like it when you cheat on me. The only way you've ever cheated on me is I'll go out of town to do a show, and you will have watched an entire 8 episodes of a limited series, and I'll come back and say, I really want to watch that series. You already watched it.
Well,
Say,
guess what? When
fuck?
you're gone for 4 months, you do not get that luxury. You do not get it. If we start a show and you're on location for 4 months, I get to watch that show.
What? So I can't watch The Count of Monte Cristo?
No.
This is your show?
I get the movie The Count of Monte Cristo, and I'm having the time of my life watching it, and then you walk in with my French subtitles, my English subtitles, and I go, no, this is going to be my show only. I click it off, and you're like, wait, what? What do you mean it's going to be
That's like having an affair.
Well, I don't care. I am going to have that as my show, and then I turn it off, because then I can go to it whenever I want. I can, because sometimes I only have like a half an hour. I'm going to watch it for a half an hour. So we are watching Silo right now. So I said, okay, we're going to put my show over here, and we'll watch Silo, and that's how it's going to be. I like having my own show also.
Okay, I'm going to find an equal and opposite thing to do.
Do
that
it.
Will, yeah.
You should find your own show that only you watch by yourself. It is so freeing. I love it more than anything.
Fifi's available.
You can find out however you want. It's so fun to have my own show that I don't watch with anybody, just me by myself.
Okay.
I love it.
I'm good with that.
Okay, good. Anyway, that was that moment last night. I was like, nope, this is my show.
Well, that's the thing about, those shows is that, if you sneak an episode of one of those shows and I'm then an hour behind, I don't have an hour to catch up, and then we're screwed. That's it. I can't watch that show anymore.
So,
like it's Severance. I never finished Severance because you watched an episode of it when I was away.
I watched 4 episodes of it while you were away.
Yeah, okay, so that's mega cheating. Okay.
I really fucked you on that one.
All right. Okay.
Anyway, you got work to do.
So I do.
That's a whole other issue. We should take some phone calls about that, because I'm sure people have a lot to say about that kind of like, how many shows do you watch with your spouse? How many can you watch by yourself? Blah, 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 blah,
maybe a couple of questions. It's not that exciting of a subject, really. I mean, it's okay. I'm sure
for like a minute.
Yeah, okay.
For like a minute and 30 seconds. How about that?
All right, I'm up for that.
All right.
What about this wheel spinning thing, Eve?
Eve, what about a wheel? What are we spinning?
Where are we in this situation here?
So, hi everyone. I'm Eve. I'm Lisa and Harry's producer. So, I think we should play a little game of spin the wheel of Harry's wild cards. To give you some context, when Harry and Lisa came to us saying they wanted to start a podcast, Harry sent me a list of maybe 150 ideas of things to talk about. So I thought maybe let's put this on a little wheel and we can spin it. And you guys can riff on whatever we land on for a few minutes.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to spin the wheel.
It's like Wheel of Fortune.
Okay. We got a good one. Okay. So the question is, bush or no bush?
Oh, God.
And I don't think we're talking about gardening, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I do like gardening. And I do like pruning back all the stuff that grows too much. But when it comes to the kind of bush I'm talking about, it's the kind that grows in the nether regions. I don't know. I like a good bush.
Oh my God.
You like a Brazilian? What do you call it?
Well, yeah, like I don't like bald. I don't like bald.
Are you kidding? What is bald? Bald is like, that's pedophilia, if you ask me. I mean, no, I'm serious. I mean, if I ever encountered somebody who would shave the
fashion.
What?
That's the fashion
Yeah,
nowadays.
but it's sick. If you ask me, it's just sick.
Well, that's very judgmental. You just lost half of our audience.
Really?
By the way, you just did. Yeah.
Well, I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's unnatural. I like a bush. I mean, am I nuts? Am I crazy? What?
I don't know. I mean, remember on the show it came up about you liking a bush, and like that went on for a couple of years. It had life.
Well, it just doesn't
on
seem
the
right
show.
to me.
Would you turn somebody away, like in a, hypothetically, if all of a sudden you're dating somebody who's like
No, I would
bald?
ask them. I would ask them to grow it out. I would. I mean, I mean, I just find it just wrong
All right. Well,
on a lot of levels.
I like mine just trimmed up nice.
Well, and then I see you on the floor. I'll walk into the room sometimes, and you've got the woman who's there on her hands and knees.
Oh, she's waxing me.
Waxing you, and I
Echo.
think how painful that must be.
It's
I mean,
painful.
I see this right there in the most
painful.
sensitive part of your
It
body.
is
She's like
painful.
ripping this hair out, and I go, oh my God, that would
I
be
know.
horrible.
You would think I'd get laser at this point. The girls are like, Mom, go get laser. Like, what are you doing? I don't know. I I'm
I
a creature of
suppose-
habit.
Yeah. I mean, I can live with a Brazilian, an airstrip or whatever you call it.
I don't know. I
can
guess.
live
I mean,
with
there's
that, but
hair.
But I couldn't live with it bald. No, I'm sorry. That's crossing a line.
Well, a good thing that I'm not bald and I don't go there, because I would say if you asked all of my friends, they're probably all bald.
Well, I mean, I do remember I shaved my chest once to do when I was doing Veronica Mars. I had a love scene with
Amanda. Siegfried.
Yeah. And I thought, well, she's like 12 and I'm 50 or whatever. At least I'll
It's
shave the
always
gray
the way,
hair off
isn't
my
it?
chest.
It's always the way. They put a 50-year-old with a 20-year-old.
Yeah, well, in that case, I mean, that was the whole point
Always
of it. It
the
was
way.
a sick thing in the show.
Always
I
the
mean, I
way.
was this movie star murderer. But anyway, so I shaved, for the first time and last time, I shaved my chest.
I kind of remember, kind of don't.
But it was the worst. I mean, my chest was inflamed and
You were
itched
itching.
for months.
Yeah, I remember you
As the hair
itchy.
grew out, it was intolerable.
Does that happen down there too? Like if you manscaped?
Yeah, no,
Same
I
thing,
can't do
right?
it.
Yeah.
Cannot cut those hairs on my body, or I'm impossible, because it itches way, way too much. It takes my breath away. It itches
You just
so much.
lost like half of your gay audience too, I think, because they all do that, manscaping.
How do I get them back?
I don't know, but you just lost them because they all wax and
You guys come
trim
back.
up and
Come back.
cut all their
Come
pubes.
back. Come
like
back.
you're fucked. I
back.
lost. Well, who knows? I probably lost many. You lost all the gays.
Well, okay.
You have to
so,
figure out how to get them back.
That'll be my project. My project, guys out there, is I'm going to get you back. Okay.
Oh my God. Well, the girls are going to be embarrassed by this whole situation. Like, I feel sorry for them in a way, actually, because they're going to have their friends. Like, I felt bad on Housewives, like what the damage it would do to the girls, right? I always did. I always felt like, oh my God, like I'm fucking them up forever. This is going to take it to another level.
Well, you didn't fuck them up for Housewives. I mean,
Well,
and I
you'd have to ask
you
them
did
that.
not fuck them. By the way,
You don't think?
No. I mean, I will never forget. You were, I think, in Japan with
Erica and the
with
girls.
Delilah,
and both of them.
and all of a sudden, you found out that they had read your book called the Sexy Sex Book, or
No,
whatever
they
the fuck it was called.
read Renovation, and it's in that chapter.
Oh, it's in
On how to
Renovation.
give a blowjob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what they, like all of a sudden I see Delilah, the camera's on her, and she says, "Oh yeah, that's how we learned how to give head." And I go, "What? Excuse me, you're like 12."
As I said, I probably fucked them up for, a couple lifetimes.
Well, either that or you set them up for
Or
a really
that's
great
true.
life.
That's true. That's
So
right.
I would. Yeah,
I don't want to know about that, though.
jury is still
I don't want
out.
to know about it. I don't
Jury's
know
still
about
out.
that. But
No.
yeah. Anyway, this is going to fuck them up. They're going to be
No, they're
horrified.
okay. They're going to be fine. Don't worry.
You don't think, oh my God, your parents, imagine, take a minute and think like if your mom and dad were sitting in a podcast room with microphones talking, I'd be horrified if Lois and Frank were doing it.
Oh,
Think
okay.
about-
You have a point there.
Think about it. Think
You have a
about
point.
it. If weekly your parents were riffing on like everything in the public eye, just in general, your parents were always in the public eye, but then they're sitting and they're talking together on a podcast. I feel sorry for them, actually. I do.
I don't. I think it's going to be good for them. No. I think that they need to hear the honest. They need to hear what we're really about. I mean, they know pretty much. We share just about everything with them anyway, as you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's going to be good.
Okay,
I have a
well,
different. Say we're opposite that way.
again, I pray. I pray that I don't humiliate, embarrass them. I mean, I've already humiliated and embarrassed them to the level where I don't even think I can do more. Think about it. Imagine if your mother was your mother is dancing like a stupid fool on Instagram. Imagine that. Like, I don't think about that, and then I think about it and I go, "Oh my God, those poor children."
Well, you are a role model to them, and it has allowed them to go out and be standout in what they're doing. And the only way you can be standout in that world that they're in is to be bold.
Well,
And so what you have taught them, which I think is a really good thing, is to be bold, to go outside, think outside the box, and go outside the boundaries. Because if the only way you can actually get the kind of attention that they need in that world is to go outside of the boundaries.
well, yeah.
And to be okay with it, which
Yeah.
they are. And
Yeah.
thanks to you, they're okay with that because
All right.
I'm a good little boy from Pasadena. I never do anything that's outside the boundaries.
Oh, is that right?
No.
You just watch.
No.
You just watch us do
I
it.
watch and I'll support you and
Yeah, but
I'll
you
try to
have
patch
that-
you up
you-
after all the bruises and the cuts and scrapes.
Yeah,
that
but you
come
have
from
that
all
in you. You have that same risk-taking first gay character in a movie in Making Love. You have that innately in you, so you might not do it all the time now, but that is born and bred in you.
Okay.
You
I'll
take
that.
risks that would ruin your career, do lots of things.
Some people might call that a risk. Other people would say just stupidity.
Well,
Okay.
yeah.
But
in 1981, playing a gay character in a movie.
Well, it was
Yeah.
risky. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. But it was also a great movie, in
It
my
was.
opinion. And
Risky,
a lot of
though.
other people's opinions. It was a movie that was ahead of its time, but
Risky.
also it was a good film. So
Great
there you
film. And you know how many people come up to you on a daily basis and say that you were
go. Yeah, no, people come up
An
to me all the
inspiration.
time and say how it changed their lives.
and they came out because of it.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, you do a film like that and it has an effect on people's lives in a positive way. What better thing can you do in life than that and then have a positive effect on someone's life? So I'm happy about that.
Would you do it again? Now?
Yeah, no, I would. Look, I mean, yes, it did change my career. It didn't change it for the worse. It might have even changed it for the better. Who knows? There's no way to prove a negative. But looking back on it, I would do it definitely again because it was a real film about a real thing that was happening in society that no one wanted to talk about.
Good on
So
you.
we talked about it.
Yeah. You gave a representation that was not out there for people to see.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Anyway, yeah.
So
Good.
so
How would we wrap up this podcast in
I've
a
never
nutshell?
wrapped up a podcast before, so I'm not sure how to do that.
I would say, okay, guys, this is your first test and taste of us sitting across from each other. Imagine where it will go. Like, why do you think people would want to come back for more?
To listen to this podcast
Yeah.
or watch it, God forbid.
I know.
That's a good question. I really don't know. I mean, we're just...
There's a lot of podcasts out there. I mean, it's saturated. So why does somebody say, oh, you know what? I want to listen to Lisa and Harry today. Why do you think?
Fuck if I know.
Exactly. I don't fucking know.
No. So anyway, thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah.
It's our first podcast, and there you go. Here we are.
Here we
Lisa
are.
and Harry.
I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what it's going to sound like. We don't know where it's going to go, but you'll come on the journey with us. How about that?
Okay, come on, everybody. Yeah. Let's rock the boat.
To rock the boat? Sometimes you're so weird. I mean, sometimes you're so weird, and I know I am too. But
Well, we're all in the same boat. Put it that
Sometimes
way.
I
We're gonna
go,
rock
oh
it."
my God, you're so weird. But I love you.
There you go. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.